Injustice 2 isn't what most would call a role-playing game. It's a fighting game, obviously. And if you think I'm going to argue that it's not a fighting game, then take it easy. I'm not into that kind of conflict. What I am going to say is that DC's star-studded Brawler is a fighting game. But it's also a role-playing game, at least it is for me. I love superheroes. I love everything about them. I love their complicated backstories. I love how terrible their games mostly are. I love how problematic the people who write their stories are. I love their histories. I love that they exist in a connected world where their actions have widespread accountability, and I love what they stand for. Injustice 2 is a very good superhero game in that its story manages to squeeze in dozens of heroes and villains with unique motivations and explores their characters within the rigid confines of a fighting game narrative. So one moment in the story, and spoilers, they're really tiny little spoilers, we see a moment where Black Canary and Green Arrow, who are underpowered and parents, choose to face up to a group of baddies because it's their duty as heroes. Batman tries to dissuade them by noting that they have a family because, of course he does. The only thing that would pain him more than losing Superman to the corruption they founded the Justice League to combat would be to be partly complicit in orphaning a child to give the world another lost soul like him. It's these little touches to the story, these characterizations and choices the writers made that reflect and respect the long history of these characters in an alternative context. They give Injustice's story heart and meaning that resonates beyond the punching and dramatic stage transitions, much like good comic book stories. But what happens when the story ends? Does the game just turn into another stale button mashing contest? Well, thanks to the exhaustive character customizations, the multiverse game mode, and a little imagination, it doesn't have to. Injustice 2's whole deal is this new attribute modifying customization option, changing helmets, weapons, chevrons, and lightning balls. You can build your characters to your design, make them as strong as you like, or in my case, give them costumes and abilities that make sense in my personal canon. But we'll get to that. First, let's talk quickly about this multiverse mode. Because online isn't for everyone and we're all tired of the endless tournament mode we've seen across buckets of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter games, NetherRealm have given over-imaginative fidgets like myself the unlimited content mode I need to keep me going back to Injustice weeks after I finish the story. The multiverse sets up a premise with, admittedly, the strength of a wet flannel. In short, there's lots of different Earths colliding and different versions of different characters must punch a bit under specific modifiers and conditions. The modifiers can range from super speed to floor saws that undercut you at the worst possible moment. It's a lot of fun and forces you to adopt different tactics and improve as a player. But the best thing about it is that it gives you a basic skeleton of a plot to which you can inject the fighting with a bit of meaning. This complements the role-playing elements inspired by the character customizations beautifully. Comic book nerds, typically the dregs of the geek biosphere, are particularly fussy about their characters, and they use the possessive pronoun with purpose. Fans have very strict ideas of what makes their comic book characters great, and any deviation is considered heresy and foolhardy, a crime punishable by blatantly hateful content. However, Injustice 2 allows the hardcore and casual fans to play with the DC universe on their terms, much like we did as kids smashing action figures together. The huge array of character customization gives the player choice about what version, what multiverse their favourite characters belong to. It allows you to dress your character based on what you believe they would wear in an alternative DC universe, or at least the circumstances the multiverse has created for them if you're playing that way. I've been maining Robin since I got the game, since Nightwing isn't on the roster for complicated story reasons. It's a secondary choice, but I'm loving the aggression and snide arrogance of Damian Wayne as a character. As such, I chose to remove the preset cloak he wears. I figure he's denounced Batman as a father and mentor and reverted to his base training as a member of the League of Shadows. Why would he wear a cape and a hood? He's no longer part of the Bat family and he clearly has nothing to hide. Also, thinking pragmatically here, a cape is just another thing to be grabbed or used against him. Damian's fighting style is precise and deadly. He requires an outfit that's aerodynamic but also exhibits his motivations and relationships. And these cosmetic choices make no tangible difference to the game, bar some abstract stat changes. But honestly, it's these little things, these details in the fabric as it were, that keep me going back to Injustice, and it will do for weeks to come, to create my own personal canon. And I genuinely believe NetherRealm built the game with the role-playing element in mind. Why else would they give you the option to play as John Stewart Green Lantern, or give Batman his classic colours, or let you outfit Wonder Woman in the same armor Gal Gadot wears in the new movie. The range of gear shaders is hugely significant, firstly because they nod to nearly 80 years worth of comic book history, but notably because superheroes are identified by the colours they wear above all. Superman is no longer adorning his red and blue, and it's a massive role-playing beat, as much as pitting a rage-filled Red Lantern version of Hal Jordan against Barry Allen is. Outside of the established DC canon, it just gives fans the opportunity to create their own worlds, even if the on-screen story outside of the campaign is entirely combat-based. The rest of the story continues to develop in your head, even after the fighting ends.